Hey, welcome to another episode of GeekOutdoors.com. So Sirius The Jaeger is an anime series on Netflix that runs an entire season. It is 12 episodes. And the story revolves around these vampire hunters called Jaegers. And basically it's their battle to get this one really powerful object, and it's called the Ark of Sirius. And Sirius The Jaeger refers to one main character who is of this Sirius tribe or community, and his name is Yuli. And so that's the basic premise around this story. And it was something that really intrigued me because of the simple fact that I love vampires in anime, mainly because I was a huge fan of the Vampire Hunter D series. And so whenever you start watching this, which is set in the 1930s, it is visually a really top-notch anime. I was already immediately attracted by the look and the style of it from the beginning, so it got my interest at the beginning. And when you watch this series, you are introduced to each one of the characters. You're introduced to Yuli, Dr. Willett. There's a smaller kid, a big guy, and then there's another girl who's a weapons expert. And there's another side character as well. She really is good with swords. She's like a samurai. And so there's other side characters as well. But the thing with this series is, as you start watching it, it becomes very predictable. And what I mean by that is it follows basically the same elements of most anime. And usually it follows the whole story of there's this powerful object. In this case, this is the Ark of Sirius. And one of the evil characters, in this case it is a vampire, wants to use it to take over the world. And so that premise right there, even though it's not anything new, the way it is told is what makes the difference between most animes. And unfortunately, in this series, it doesn't do anything different enough, and there is also an element of older characters from one of the main characters, their history, that, makes that, I guess, the main protagonist in a lot of ways. But once again, it's very, very predictable. And as you're watching further and further into it, I kind of lost interest, at least for me. I will say that for the first half, like the first 6 episodes, I was more interested because of the simple fact that you were learning about these group of people. You were learning about the backstories of Yuli, the series, Dr. Willard. You were also learning some of the backstory of all the other characters as well, and kind of how they came to be. And you were also learning about this whole world, this world building of the vampires, of the Sirius, of all the military involvement, and all those other things. And then later on, you get other side characters as well. But unfortunately, all of those things together, once again, it was very predictable. And it was like so boring at some point. I was just like kind of waiting for the next action scenes. I will say the action scenes were really done well. And so I can't really knock it on that. But once again, the way it was told, even the way the actions were shot, you kind of already knew what was going to happen. And so if it sounds like I'm saying the same things, that's because whenever I'm watching this series, I kind of felt most of it was the same. And so those were like the feelings I got out of it. And then by the end of it, I didn't really get a lot of satisfaction out of it. I was just like, kind of like, well, it's done. That's another series. I'm going go ahead and watch another anime. I'm basically not going to go back and rewatch this. And about the only reason I would go back and rewatch it is because of the really amazing visuals in this anime, because it does have some really high production values. But overall, Sirius The Jaeger, it is a predictable series. Honestly, probably could have just made this a movie, a 2-hour-long movie, and that would have done better than it being spread out over 12 different episodes. And because the story is, very similar to others that have already been told, it doesn't do anything different. And even the characters themselves, they weren't really memorable. And so overall, I would give it an okay. If you are into, the vampire anime series, I don't think it would be worth your time to watch all the episodes. Maybe just watch the first 6 like I mentioned, and then you could kind of gauge whether or not you want to watch the second half. But even if you don't, you won't be missing much. So those are my thoughts on Sirius The Jaeger. If you have seen this series or anything else that's very similar to it, be sure to leave that in the comments area below. And as always, if you did get value out of these videos, share, like, and subscribe. Thanks for checking out this episode. And as always, if you like these videos, be sure to click on the subscribe button. And for full written content, audio content, and additional geek stuff, head over to GeekOutdoors.com. And I'll see you outdoors on the very next episode.